Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to Ramacrow. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail is from June. Let's listen to what June has to say.
Hello, Lloyd. My name is June, and I'm a 77-year-old mother with a Jehovah Witness son, my only child. He's now living in San Salvador. He married a Salvadorian about 36 years ago. They have one daughter. They are all Jehovah Witnesses. He became a Jehovah Witness when he was 19, still living with me here in Marin County. And the long and short of my story is that when he became a Jehovah Witness at 19, he told me that Armageddon was right around the corner. And I basically said to him, what are you going to say when you're 40 years old and Armageddon still isn't here? Well, he's now 60. And needless to say, I get absolutely nowhere discussing the real facts and everything that I've learned about Jehovah Witnesses, listening to your channel, listening to other people. I guess what I'm saying is that from a mother's point of view who's not a Jehovah Witness, I'm having a very difficult time now because I'm older, I have problems. My son doesn't seem to really give me any emotional support that I need. And the real story is that I have been financially supporting them for over 25 years. I paid for the house that they live in, the car that they drive. I give him a monthly allowance, which is quite a considerable allowance. And if I wasn't doing that for all of these years, they would be living very differently than they live now. My son's an elder. He is 100% committed to his faith. And I'm at my wit's end. I really don't know what to do. I'm ready to disinherit him. But he's my only child. And that's where I'm at. So I hope that you can help me with my dilemma. Maybe it's an issue. I don't think I've heard you talk about this issue on your program, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad being a mother of an only child that's a Jehovah Witness that, I'm a non-believer and he doesn't want to talk to me about my problems or my questions about his beliefs. And, you know exactly what I'm saying. So thank you, Lloyd.
Okay, wow, that's quite some voicemail. My heart was breaking as you were telling that story, especially the part about you financially supporting him. And, my first reaction, and probably the first reaction of my viewers, will be, how on earth can it be that you're supporting a 60-year-old man for the last 25 years as a 77-year-old woman? That doesn't sit well, So look, everyone's financial and family arrangements are their personal business. So I'm in absolutely no position to be dishing out advice on how you deal with your money and your finances, and especially when it comes to, who you bequeath money to and that sort of thing. All of that is entirely your call. You have, however, left a voicemail and seem to be interested in my take on it all. And it's a tough one. You did mention that your son has a daughter. And you also, said that you are ready to disinherit your son. So that's something that's apparently on the table, at the very least, because you seem to be ready to do it. Not knowing the complexities of your relationship, not knowing to what extent he is in your life, or how much you're able to talk to him without religion being an issue. I'm guessing not much. I can only tell you, doing like a drive-by of the situation, what I would probably do. First of all, I would not be sending money when I'm in my 70s. I'm sorry. And this is speaking as someone who is a father and who loves his two daughters dearly. And I am obviously supporting my two daughters. They'll get whatever they need from me, but not when I'm in my 70s. You know, if they haven't got, frankly, their shit together by the time they're in their 60s, they're on their own. You know, there comes a point when grown adults, should be able to get by without handouts, especially when they're taking the decision to have children and they are setting themselves up as role models in a religious congregation, to the point where, I mean, if he's an elder, he's probably lecturing pioneers on their finances and on how they need to get part-time jobs and make sure they're donating to the organization and all that. He's probably, I mean, we can't say for sure, but he is probably being utterly hypocritical with the advice that he's dishing out to members of his congregation as someone who is living on handouts from his 77-year-old mother. That the very thought of that incenses me. And layering on the fact that he refuses to have frank conversations with you when you express frank concerns as his mother, and shuts you down, I think that you are very well justified in disinheriting him. If that's what you're thinking of doing already, then I'm not going to judge you. You know, let me put it that way. I would not be saying shame on you, you know, given the circumstances you've spelled out. However, if I were in your shoes, and let's say I was at the age that you are, 77, and I had a bit of money together, and I didn't want it to just get swallowed up by the government, or I didn't want to just leave it so that it doesn't mean anything to anyone, or you don't have like a recognizable legacy. Well, there are two options, I think. One is that you donate to charity, or you bequeath your wealth or your estate to charity. You can, pick from any number of charities and non-profits that are doing amazing work, especially in the field of, helping people out of harmful, abusive situations and cult indoctrination. So that's one option, is to just bequeath your estate to a charity or a non-profit. That's option one. Option two is to bequeath your estate to your granddaughter, who you've said is a Jehovah's Witness. You said they're all Jehovah's Witnesses. But, why does your son get to have everything when he's shown such scant regard for your justifiable concerns and your needs? I don't know whether it's possible to kind of put a time delay on things. So whether it's possible to set up a trust fund and make it so that your granddaughter can only access the funds by a certain year or when your granddaughter reaches a certain age. But I would be tempted to just skip a generation, to be quite honest, given the fact that, you know, this is a cult that I think has a shelf life. You know, it's an organization with a very, very poor business model that relies on lying to people. And when you lie to people, those lies unravel eventually. And they already are. You know, we're already, looking back on the history of the organization, we're already on the downwards curve. You know, this organization peaked in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's been on the retreat ever since in terms of branch numbers, in terms of printing. Growth has stagnated. It's just not convincing anymore. It's not a viable business model, to put it that way. And who knows, maybe if we kind of skip forward in time, which you're not able to do, but your money is, maybe you could make it so that at some point in the future, your granddaughter, or maybe even your granddaughter's children, in other words, your great-grandchildren, who knows what the situation will be by that time. But if you bequeath to your granddaughter, then at least your granddaughter will have a few years to wake up. And you could also maybe do, I would speak to a lawyer, I really would, because you could maybe even be really, really clever and say that your funds can only be accessed, or the trust fund account can only be accessed, provided that a letter is read out and listened to by those who stand to benefit from the inheritance. And you could write down in a letter all of the things that you need them to know, and have it like as a stipulation that they need to be in the room, and your legal representatives need to read the letter and they need to listen to it. You know, there's all sorts. I would have all sorts of fun, quite frankly, with that one. You know, you don't have to leave it all to your son if you don't want to. There are some quite imaginative alternatives, just kind of thinking outside the box a little bit and thinking about how things are going to pan out in terms of where this cult is headed and how viable it is for the future. And, you know, the possibility of you still having family around in the future who are less attached to the organization. But obviously as well, you might want to consider bequeathing your estate to charity or a non-profit, or you could bequeath it to your son. Everything is on the table. It's entirely your decision. But hopefully I've talked through, you know, your options, and all that's left to say is that I really do empathize with your situation. It must be heartbreaking, you know. I'm 43, and, you know, imagining myself at the age of 77 with basically everyone I care about, with my family all consumed by a cult and all indoctrinated, and my efforts to shake them out of it kind of utterly thrown back in my face, I'd be heartbroken. So if you gain nothing else from my reply, please know that I empathize, and please know that in saying this, I probably speak for the vast majority of my viewers. It's not okay, the situation you're in, and you have every right to be mortified at the way things have panned out. And all I can say is you're not alone. You have my solidarity and the solidarity of probably thousands watching this voicemail, and I'll be thinking of you. And please update me on your situation if you can. And if you feel like talking about the solution you arrive at, I'd be kind of interested to know, okay? So I hope that answers your question. If you would like to leave a voicemail, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/Cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to broadcast your message on my channel. But that's all I have time for. Thank you so much for watching.